Alrighty, guys. We've done some volume of some three-dimensional figures, rectangular prisms and triangular prisms. Now we're going to move on. Our next set of three-dimensional figures is all going to be based around circles. So before we move into what the three-dimensional figures look like, let's go back and talk about circles for a little while. We need to know parts of a circle. We need to know how to find circumference and area of circles. We need to really re-examine circles. So let's take a look at this circle. We're going to talk about circumference today in different parts. The point in the middle, yeah, they call that the center point. The center point is equally distant to the entire edge. And the distance from that center point to the edge, halfway across the circle, you should know is called the radius. Radius goes halfway across the circle from the center point to an edge. If you go all the way across the circle, must go through the center point. That's important. Through the circle from edge to edge, through the center point, they call that the diameter. So obviously, or hopefully obviously, one diameter is two different radiuses put together, or radii is the plural radius. And last but not least, the distance around the circle. We used to call that perimeter for polygons, but now for a circle, they call that circumference. The circumference is the distance around the circle. It's just like perimeter, but they have a special name for it for a circle. So a couple little formulas. The diameter of a circle is twice the radius. Diameter is 2 radii. If you know the radius, multiply it times 2, it tells you diameter. And the reverse of that, if you know the diameter, you would divide it by 2 to get the radius. The radius is half of the diameter. Sometimes you'll be given a radius, sometimes you'll be given a diameter, sometimes you want one or the other. And we got some formulas for circumference. Circumference, that distance around that perimeter of the circle, is equal to pi times the diameter, or there's two different formulas. Pi times twice its radius, where twice means times 2. So if you're given a diameter, you can do pi times the diameter. If you're given a radius, you can do 2 times pi times the radius. See how it looks. We're going to find the circumference of these two circles. We are not going to use 22/7 as an estimate for pi. We are always going to use 3.14. We're never going to use the pi button on a calculator or a computer. We're always going to use 3.14, no matter what. That means our answers are never going to be exact because 3.14 is a rounded estimate for pi. We're always going to use 3.14 for pi, okay? Never 22/7. That's really rare to use. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth if necessary. I'm actually just going to make it the nearest hundredth, maybe, depending on what the answer looks like. So, in question 1, you're given a diameter. This line goes all the way across the circle. So that diameter across the circle is 5 meters. So to find the circumference, I'm going to do pi times diameter. So that means I'm going to do 3.14 times the diameter, which is 5. I'm going to grab my calculator. 3.14 times 5 gives me a final answer of a circumference of 15.7. Now I'll give it a label. It's meters, and it's just a distance around, so it's not squared or cubed or anything. It's just plain meters. 15.7 meters around that circle. Taking a look at number 2, they give you a radius instead. The radius, because the line only goes halfway across. So the radius is 8. So for this one, I'll use the formula that circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius. So that means if I plug in some numbers that I'm given, it's 2 times pi is always going to be 3.14 for us, times the radius, which is 8. So that means my circumference equals, grab my calculator again, 2 times 3.14 times 8 gives me an answer of 50.24 inches. Okay, And I'm going to slide over to Khan Academy. I'll be right back. And just like that, I'm back. I'm going to do a couple of problems here on Khan Academy, the Khan Academies you're going to work on. Here you're given a circle. They ask you for a radius and a diameter. You have to answer both of those. Well, taking a look at this circle, the line they give me goes all the way across the circle. Therefore, that line across is my diameter. My diameter is 7. And then I need a radius. Well, the radius is half of 7, or 7 divided by 2. 7 divided by 2 gives me a radius of 3.5. Ta-da! That's how you do radius and diameter. That's pretty easy. Taking a look at circumference. All right, here we go. I'm given a circle, and they give me a line all the way across. Therefore, they give me the diameter. So I'll use a formula that the circumference is equal to pi times the diameter, which is 9. All right, quick calculation, 3.14 times 9 is equal to 28.26 centimeters. All righty. Just want to show you one more possible example, I think. There we go. Circle has a circumference of 153.86. They want to know the radius. So they give you circumference. You have to work backwards. If you remember, circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So if they give you circumference 153.86, put it in the place of circumference, is equal to pi times diameter. Well, how would I find diameter? I would divide. I'm working backwards now. They gave me the answer. I multiplied to get the answer. So I'm going to divide to go backwards. So 153.86 divided by 3.14 gives me a diameter of 49. That's my diameter. But I don't want diameter, I want radius. So now I'm going to take that number to get radius and divide it by 2. So I'll divide that by 2, and my radius should be 24.5 units. Voila! All right, that's your job for today. Good luck, do well, have fun.